You've been trying every method, visualizations, affirmations, vision boards, and still nothing. Why? Because what you lack is not belief, but initiation. Ancient power isn't gifted. It is earned. Today, we uncover what Thoth only whispered to those who were truly ready, not just to dream, but to manifest like the gods themselves. There is a reason why the secrets of the ancients were carved in stone and hidden in temples, instead of being preached in marketplaces. Power is a currency, and like all currencies, its value collapses when overshared. Thoth, the divine scribe, never scattered his knowledge like breadcrumbs for the masses to pick apart. He spoke in symbols, hid meanings beneath metaphors, and only gave full truths to those who had first conquered themselves. This was not arrogance. It was design. The law of selective revelation was his first barrier, the gatekeeper that filtered the weak from the worthy. And in that law, he made it clear, you are not kept from the truth by accident. You are kept from it by your own unreadiness to wield it. Modern minds confuse availability with authority. They believe that access to knowledge is the same as readiness to receive power, but true power reveals itself only when one stops reacting to the world and begins orchestrating it. Until then, knowledge remains inert, like a sword in the hands of a trembling child. The restraint you show in the face of chaos is the first proof that you are ready to manifest. You must silence the urge to declare your desires before they are born in silence. You must learn to look at the storm without being moved by it. This is why Thoth measured a man not by his intellect, but by his capacity to be still in the presence of the divine. The chaos in your outer life is a mirror of the undisciplined forces within. You cannot command the winds if your own breath trembles. Manifestation begins when your internal dominion matches your external demand. People want to attract abundance, while they cannot even master their own hunger. They want to summon relationships, yet they are addicted to validation. They want to rise, but refuse to let go of the comfort of being low. Thoth's law makes no exceptions. Power reveals itself only to those who are ready to carry its weight without collapsing under their own weakness. Restraint is not passivity, it is the art of preparation. The king who does not swing his sword at every insult lives long enough to win empires. The wise never chase energy. They pull it in through gravitational presence. You must understand that everything you do is either feeding your manifestation or feeding your delay. Every impulsive action, every emotional outburst, every moment of mental surrender is recorded in the invisible logbooks of the universe. Thoth made it known that before you receive, you must refuse. Refuse distraction. Refuse weakness. Refuse the urge to react like a peasant when you are being tested like a god in disguise. To manifest is not to imagine, it is to command. But command without control is tyranny. You cannot command the elements if you cannot sit with your own emotions, without being enslaved by them. Power doesn't descend upon the noisy. It finds its home in those who have emptied themselves of drama, fear, and desperation. This is what Thoth guarded with veiled language. He knew that revelation without readiness was ruin. You may have access to divine laws, but until you are aligned with divine order, they will betray you like fire in the hands of the untrained. Every ritual you perform, every affirmation you speak, every meditation you enter becomes impotent without restraint. Restraint is the furnace in which desire is purified. Most fail at manifestation because they want too much too quickly. They mistake desire for readiness. But wanting is not the same as deserving, and the universe does not respond to wishes. It responds to frequency. The frequency of a true manifester is not desperation, but certainty. Certainty is born from preparation, and preparation is born from restraint. This is why silence is often the sign of ascension, not the silence of fear, but the silence of control. The restraint to not speak what is unformed. The restraint to not react to illusions. The restraint to not act until the moment is ripe. Thoth never rushed. His words were deliberate, his actions calculated, his presence immovable. He did not teach the masses, because the masses had not yet emptied their cups. They were noisy, filled with opinions, seeking shortcuts to the sacred. But the sacred does not answer to beggars. It answers to sovereigns, and sovereignty begins when one masters restraint, not just as a behavior, but as a way of being. Restraint becomes the proof that you are no longer ruled by the world, but ruling your own nature. When you no longer need to be validated, when you no longer chase timelines, when you can observe your cravings and not feed them, you become magnetic. The gods do not chase, they attract. And attraction is the effect of energy under control. This is why Thoth only revealed the sacred laws to those who showed they could hold a secret without shouting it, who could bear knowledge without showing it off, who could delay action until the moment the universe begged them to move. In this law, we see the first gate to manifestation. Not action, not affirmation, but restraint. In the ancient chambers where Thoth dictated the laws of reality to those who proved themselves worthy, there was one unshakable principle he repeated in silence more than speech. Your words are not decorations. They are not emotional outbursts or poetic wishes offered to the wind. Every word you utter becomes a signature, a binding clause, a contract inscribed in the unseen architecture of time. The fools pray as if the universe is sentimental, as if it responds to repetition or passion. But the wise, the initiated, know the truth. To speak is to summon, and what is summoned cannot be unsummoned without price. The tragedy of modern minds is their casual speech. They speak to manifest, but they speak blindly. They make declarations they have no intention of upholding. They affirm wealth while behaving like beggars. They announce love while drowning in insecurity. And so the universe, indifferent yet perfectly just, treats their words not as requests, but as contradictions. Thoth taught that when you speak, you do not inform the universe of your desire. You obligate yourself to meet the consequences of that desire. Every syllable is an oath. Every affirmation is a covenant. And every time you speak with misalignment, you enter into a contract you are not prepared to fulfill. In Thoth's ancient schools of wisdom, speech was restricted, not to limit expression, but to elevate it. Words were to be used only when backed by inner authority. A declaration made without spiritual credit was considered theft, and every theft invites punishment in cosmic law. To say, I am powerful, while being ruled by fear is not a declaration. It is perjury. And the cost of perjury is chaos. The universe responds not to the surface of language, but to the energy that underwrites it. If your words are not written in the ink of alignment, they are void, and worse, they mark you as untrustworthy in the eyes of the unseen laws. You must therefore speak with the precision of a commander, not the ramblings of a dreamer. Thoth made clear that every word carries weight. A word is a shape you cast into the field of potential. If that shape is vague, your reality will be vague. If your speech is contradictory, so too will be your results. To say, I want change, while clinging to comfort is to invoke a paradox that tears your life apart in subtle and violent ways. The laws of manifestation are not moved by how much you want something, but by how congruent your speech, thought, and action are in the direction of that something. The initiated understand this. Before they speak it, they become it. They wait. They align. They strip themselves of inner opposition. And when their energy is sharp enough to cut through resistance, they speak. But only then. This is why their words create. Because their words are clean. They are pure. They carry no hidden self, sabotage, no hidden doubt. They are contracts born from authority, not pleas from the wounded. Thoth revealed this distinction only to those who had already silenced their chaotic inner monologue and learned the ancient art of internal negotiation. You see, manifestation does not begin on your lips. It begins in your choices. A man who says he wants abundance, but does not behave like he deserves it, lies to the universe. And lies are not punished by external forces. They are punished by internal collapse. Each lie tears at the fabric of your integrity, and manifestation can only pass through an unbroken vessel. The moment you speak falsely, even unconsciously, you fracture the channel through which divine energy was meant to flow. This is why some people do all the right things and still fail. They don't fail because the system is flawed. They fail because they contaminate the system with impure intention wrapped in spiritual jargon. Thoth did not romanticize words. He weaponized them. To him, a word was a tool, and every tool must be used with intent. In the right hands, Words build empires. In the wrong hands, they destroy destinies. Those who understand this law begin to speak less. But what they speak becomes law. Their tone shifts. Their declarations carry gravity. When they say, "I will," the universe aligns, not out of servitude, but out of recognition. The world does not bend to your dreams because you desire them. It bends because your contracts are honored by your behavior. This is why manifestation begins not in your mouth, but in your alignment. And once that alignment is forged, your words are no longer noise. They become spells, blueprints, unbreakable decrees etched into the mechanics of fate. Your entire reality, right now, is the sum of the contracts you have unconsciously signed. The times you said, "I always fail." The times you told yourself, "I'm not enough." The moments you spoke defeat over your path in the universe, loyal to your instructions, followed orders. Thoth taught that nothing is more sacred than a word spoken in full awareness. For once it leaves your mouth, it is no longer yours. It becomes the responsibility of the cosmos to carry out. But if that word was false, misaligned, or tainted by inner conflict, the manifestation it brings will be equally fractured. This is not punishment, it is reflection. The universe is not cruel, it is obedient. It simply executes the contract you've written with your speech. In the temples where sacred laws were once etched in gold and stone, Thoth guarded one truth with unwavering severity: nothing is granted without sacrifice. To the profane mind, this sounds cruel. But to the initiated, it is mercy disguised as rigor. The universe does not withhold power, it measures your capacity to carry it. It does not punish desire, it weighs desire against your willingness to lose something in return. Every act of manifestation is not a wish. It is a transaction. And in this transaction, the price is always a part of yourself. The common seeker believes that wanting something hard enough is sufficient. They chant, visualize, imagine, beg, but never offer. They knock at the doors of the divine with empty hands, expecting treasures. But Thoth taught that the universe does not reward need. It responds to equilibrium. When you ask for something, the universe responds with a single question: what are you willing to lose to deserve it? If your answer is vague, if your soul clings to what you already have, then your desire will become your tormentor instead of your gift. The mirror does not lie. It simply reflects what you are truly prepared to give up. True manifestation is not about accumulation, it is about exchange. To step into greatness, you must burn the part of you that is addicted to mediocrity. You must place your comfort, your excuses, your illusions on the altar and let them die. There is no becoming without unbecoming. There is no rising without burial. Thoth whispered this law only to those who had stared into their own abyss without blinking. Those who understood that the old version of themselves must die violently for the new version to reign. Not in a moment of inspiration, but in sustained sacrifice. Desire has a price. You want wealth. Then sacrifice your laziness, your impulsive spending, your addiction to instant gratification. You want love. Then sacrifice your ego, your pride, your unhealed wounds that sabotage connection. You want power. Then sacrifice your distractions, your excuses, your dependency on external validation. The transaction is always active. Something must leave for something to arrive. The universe is too balanced to allow creation without destruction. Thoth made this clear. Every seed you plant requires the burial of another. Every wish you breathe must be matched with something you exhale, forever. But here lies the deeper cruelty, the divine paradox. The most sacred sacrifices are never external. The universe demands something internal. Not your money, not your time, but your identity. You cannot become the master while holding on to the slave you've always been. You cannot step into divinity while still nursing the wounds of your past self. The altar is not just a place, it is a state of being. You must drag the pieces of yourself that no longer serve you to the fire. And the fire does not negotiate, it devours, it purifies. It empties you so that something greater can enter. This is why most people fail to manifest. Not because they are cursed, not because they are unlucky, but because they are unwilling to give up who they are for who they could be. They want transformation without death. They want rebirth without burial. But the gods, the laws, the universe, They are incorruptible. They cannot be tricked with emotion or theatrics. They respond only to truth. And your truth is proven in what you are willing to lose. Thoth did not offer comfort. He offered clarity. He showed that the mirror of manifestation reflects not what you desire, but what you offer in return. And there is another layer, even darker, even more exacting. Sometimes, the universe will test your sincerity by asking you to sacrifice something you love. Not to punish you, but to reveal whether your vision is stronger than your attachment. This is the moment where most turn away. The moment when the dream demands your silence, your solitude, your old relationships, your former habits. It demands that you walk into the unknown naked, carrying nothing but conviction. And if you hesitate, the door closes, not forever, but until you prove you are willing again. The sacrificial mirror is not sentimental. It has no preference, no emotion. It reflects the law with perfect precision. If your sacrifice is shallow, your reward will be fleeting. If your offering is hesitant, your manifestation will be unstable. But if your sacrifice is pure, if you cut away the unnecessary without hesitation, if you place your lesser self on the altar without weeping, then the mirror responds with power. Not just the power to attract, but the power to transform. This is not symbolic. It is mechanical. The universe is built on trade. You must create space for the new by destroying the old. And this destruction must be deliberate. It must be ritualistic. The same way the ancients built temples on ruins, you must build your new self upon the ashes of what you once called truth. This is why Thoth did not simply speak of manifestation. He spoke of thresholds, of trials, of burning bridges, and not looking back. Because the moment you turn around, the sacrifice is void, the contract is broken, and the mirror, once cracked, reflects nothing but shadows. In the hidden chambers where Thoth wrote the codes of power in eternal silence, one law sat above the rest, not in sound, but in presence. The world is enchanted by noise, but reality is shaped by the still. The masses move through life like frantic winds, scattering their focus, leaking their energy in all directions, mistaking motion for progress. But the ones who shape destinies, who bend time, who summon outcomes, who whisper and are obeyed, they sit on thrones of stillness. They speak less not because they have nothing to say, but because they have already said it in the language of energy. They command through silence because silence is the weapon of those who have mastered themselves. Thoth taught in veiled gestures, not because he was cryptic, but because he knew that truth loses its potency in noise. The sacred cannot survive in chaos. It only descends upon the minds that are empty enough to receive it and disciplined enough to hold it. True manifestation begins when movement ceases and internal order replaces external frenzy. The throne you seek, over your life, your mind, your fate, is not built by struggle. It is revealed in stillness, when you no longer chase but attract, no longer convince but command. This throne is not given by others. It is claimed by presence. The illusion of action has destroyed more destinies than failure. People move constantly, doing more, saying more, chasing results like slaves chained to time. They think they are manifesting because they are busy. But Thoth warned, until your energy is still, your actions are hollow. 1,000 movements without alignment create only noise. But one gesture from stillness shifts mountains. The gods do not hurry. They do not explain. They are obeyed because their being speaks louder than words. And so must you become, not louder, but more deliberate, more silent, more sovereign. Stillness is not inaction. It is supreme control over your own currents. It is the state where energy is gathered like an army at your feet, not wasted like loose coins in the street. The one who sits in stillness is not empty. He is full, charged, magnetic. His silence is not absence. It is power waiting to be deployed. Thoth made it known that stillness is the throne upon which your inner God sits, watching, directing, altering the reality beneath him. When you are still, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are programming it. This is the truth the uninitiated cannot understand. They think creation is force. They think manifestation is drama. But real power is quiet. Real creation is subtle. It is the seed, not the storm. The manifester does not flinch when others panic. He does not chase when outcomes delay. He waits, not passively, but with mastery, because he knows reality is bending in his direction, whether it is visible or not. This is why Thoth revealed so little to the world, because only the still can hear what the noisy mind will always miss. Revelation does not shout. It emerges like smoke through the cracks of your inner silence. To command from stillness means your very existence radiates authority. You walk into a room and shift its temperature. You speak once and people listen twice. You take no action, and yet the universe moves around you like a servant anticipating your will. This is not magic, it is mechanics. The more focused your energy, the more gravity you generate. The more still you become, the more outcomes orbit you. Your vibration becomes an unspoken instruction, and those who cannot yet hear it are not ready to stand near you. But the path to the silent throne is not for the weak. It demands that you murder your addictions to validation, urgency, performance. It requires that you dismantle the version of yourself that panics when nothing is happening. Stillness is terrifying to those who define themselves by doing. But to the sovereign, stillness is proof of evolution. To sit, to wait, to hold power without spilling it in every direction. That is the mark of one who is no longer ruled by time, but who bends it. This is the level of control Thoth preserved for the worthy. His teachings were not for those who sought tricks or shortcuts, but for those who had subdued their own chaos. Because once you are still, you see the game clearly. You see how the world dances to the tune of the loud and the desperate, while the real players move in silence, speak in precision, and influence without exposure. Stillness becomes your strategy, your weapon, your identity. From it, you no longer hope, you decide. You no longer wish, you become. You no longer announce your intentions. You execute them through sheer gravitational presence. In stillness, you become invisible to chaos and irresistible to outcomes. You cease to be a seeker and become a creator. You no longer react to timelines. You anchor them. The throne is not something you reach. It is something you remember. Something that has always been within you, buried under the noise of who you were told to be. And in silence, it rises. Not with celebration, but with certainty. Because power does not enter with sound. It enters with stillness and is obeyed without question. This path is not one of comfort, but of conquest. Conquest over the false self, over chaos, over the illusion that you must beg life for what you were born to command. Thoth did not gift these truths to the masses. He unveiled them only to those willing to bleed for clarity, to sacrifice ignorance for precision, and to burn through the layers of identity that kept them ordinary. These are not teachings. They are thresholds. Each keynote is a door, but not all who knock may enter. You are not here to become powerful. You are here to remember that you already are, and to prove it through silence, sacrifice, precision, and presence. The ancient ones did not manifest by wish. They manifested by law. Their words were contracts. Their losses were offerings. Their stillness was strategy. This is not magic. This is mastery. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, and the universe, flawless in its indifference, rewards only the courageous few who dare to align with that truth. Manifestation is not an event. It is a coronation, and only those who have conquered their inner kingdom will ever wear the crown.